The Canadian Forces have always been a big part of our news. From 4-Wing and Cold Lake to CFB Wainwright, we have always been proud to present the stories of our courageous fighting men and women. This chapter of our program, entitled The Military in Retrospect, is dedicated to past stories about these women and men and the dangerous job they do in providing security and protection to the Canadian citizens.
The program graduates about 50 people a year to supply Canada's fighter pilot needs. However, this first group for 1989 is special. At least 2 of its members are. Captains Deanna Brasseur and Jane Foster are going to be the first women fighter pilots in the Western Alliance and perhaps the world. Much has been made of the fact they're training for combat roles, but to the women's classmates, they're just 2 more aspiring pilots.
They went through the same training. They had the same frustrations, I would say, the same pressures, and probably even more pressure because of the high visibility of their situation.
They're doing a good job, and they had pressure on this course. They did well, from what I saw, and from the student point of view, from course mate. And I don't see any problem with them being a fighter pilot in the Canadian Forces.
The commanding officer of 410 Cougar Squadron, the unit the prospective fighter pilots train in, agrees that gender isn't a factor in becoming a good fighter pilot. And Fireball Roberts says the women are very capable.
The girls have done extremely well, equal to or perhaps even a little better than the average course member on this particular course.
Jane Foster and Deanna Brasseur say the course was hard, but not because of any problems created by their gender. Initially, some doubters thought women wouldn't be able to handle the physical rigors of the course. However, Jane Foster says that was no problem.
You don't need any great, humongous amounts of strength to fly. That's a fly-by-wire system, and I think both of us easily have the muscle power for it. I would say almost all girls do.
What was a problem for the trainees was the intense nature of the course.
You put in a 10 to 12-hour day on the job, and you go home and spend another 2 or 3 hours of studying. So there's not a lot of free time for relaxation and enjoyment or going out to the movies or what have you.
For Jane Foster, her toughest moments came as a result of the time away from her husband.
It's been a little bit of a strain, but it was something we expected. We knew it would happen when they posted us apart, so we both adjusted to it mentally.
Foster and Brasseur shared the pain of the course with their classmates, but they also had the thrill of victory in common. Captain Brasseur's attitude on finishing the course is identical to the feelings of each of her classmates.
It feels terrific. It really does. I never thought I'd see the end this way. It was a long, grueling year.
The next few years will see Brasseur and Foster flying operational duties out of Cold Lake. And as for their futures after that time period, well, they're up in the air. David McGuinness, Broadcast Center News.
A Canadian Forces Boeing 707 descended through the fog to touch down at CFB Cold Lake early this morning on a direct flight from Lahr, Germany. Friends and family gathered at the edge of the tarmac in anticipation of the plane's arrival. Defense Minister Bill McKnight was to have been on hand as well, but the Kindersley-Lloydminster MP wasn't able to fly in from Saskatoon. For many ground personnel, it was the first time back on Canadian soil in more than 3 months. For Corporal Mark Wells, it was finally a chance to see his wife and young son, who occupied his thoughts during the layover in Germany.
We just got we're back into Germany 2 days ago, so we only had a 2-day stopover in Germany. But I've been gone since the 6th of December, so it's really nice to be home.
This Master Corporal says the Gulf War is not something she'd care to experience again. For now, it's just good to be back.
In April, I'm going to go visit my mom in Florida. I don't really want to go right away and see the sun again and stuff, so I just want to enjoy the snow and stuff right now.
See the snow.
You bet. And the cold weather, I don't mind it at all. It's great.
For others of the 416 Squadron, the last 3 months seem more like 3 years. Many of those serving in Kuwait have already returned home. However, there are more yet to come, including pilots of the CF-18 fighter wing.
We have about another 32 or 33 to come yet, and that's including the pilots that will be flying our airplanes back. So we've got most of them home now. About 145 odd that are home already. So that's good. This is the biggest group that has come back so far. Yeah.
For the men and women of 416 Squadron, the next couple of weeks will be spent enjoying some well-deserved rest and relaxation. Base officials will hold one big party in mid-April when the rest of the personnel return home. At CFB Cold Lake, Michael Higgins, News Hour.
For me personally, this is a high point in my life, not just my career.
They are the Skyhawks, the elite parachute team of Canada's armed forces. For over 23 years, select personnel from both the regular and reserve forces have been thrilling spectators from coast to coast. They are highly trained Canadian ambassadors.
Once we actually get into it, we're actually going down, and then once we're level, we'll just initiate with a right turn, and spin it around, and we should get her going pretty good.
Okay. Skydiving is something which is, you can't just do a couple one day and then a couple next week. It's something which is, you need a massive infusion, like you have to be inundated with it, super saturated even.
They perform more than 70 times a year, including 2 stops in the Midwest over the weekend.
It unfortunately only looks about 50-50 for our chances to jump. My policy is that if it looks 50-50, that we will always go up and try it. Simply because you can guarantee that if you don't go, Murphy's Law is going to be that the skies are going to clear and you could have done something. But we feel that we owe it to the people to go out there and at least try it.
Great.
I hope that it's going to be sunny and we're going to get the jump. Many of the guys just relax, that's their way. Everyone on the team visualizes the jump, the way that they will complete the jump. They go through it once or twice in their mind. And we also teach certain stress relieving techniques because no matter how many times you've done it, it's always stressful. It's like getting into a car. I mean, every time there's the possibility that you could be involved in an accident, you don't know what's going to happen. And that's the way we treat every single skydive, is that it's something which is very, very safe. However, accidents can happen.
In the 23 years that the team has existed, there has never been a serious injury or fatality, which they attribute to training. Their reward is the admiration of the spectators.
Hi, what's your name? Heather, do you like the show?
We look at it as being very fortunate, not only as soldiers, but as Canadians, period, because we get to travel coast to coast to meet the people of Canada and get to see Canada like very few people have the opportunity to see.
Let's give a big hand for our Skyhawks.
Michael Higgins, News Hour.